Welcome to the Real News Network. I'm Sharmini Peres coming to you from Baltimore. The World Bank says Gaza has the worst unemployment rate in the world, with an estimated 43% of the population without jobs, and it has a poverty rate of 39%. This comes days after the Pentagon approved a $1.8 billion deal selling bombs and munition to Israel. Joining us from Gaza City to discuss all of this is Dan Cohen. Dan is a correspondent for Mondoweiss, based in Israel and Palestine. Thank you so much for joining us, Dan.
Good to be with you and find a little bit of electricity here in Gaza.
So let's do this interview while that electricity is still on. So you're in Gaza City, obviously. Describe for us what you've been observing over the last few days with 43% unemployment, and what does this look like on the ground?
Well, Gaza looks, at this point, 8 months after the final ceasefire that ended Operation Protective Edge last year. Gaza looks about the same as it did on the day of the ceasefire. There has been a very small amount of rebuilding. One very sobering statistic is that not a single house that was completely destroyed has been rebuilt. A lot of the reconstruction efforts have the promises of $5.4 billion to rebuild Gaza have not been fulfilled. And this is because Israel, Egypt, and the Palestinian Authority have colluded to prevent reconstruction. And so, additionally, as you mentioned, the economy is devastated, and it's an intentional policy of de-development, we could call it, where all sectors of the economy are under siege. And it's really horrendous on the ground.
Now, Dan, a few weeks ago, we spoke to Pernille Ironside, who works for UNICEF on the ground in Gaza. And she was reporting that the condition of children's health is deteriorating. She also reported that 70% of the budget needed in order to deliver basic health care and education and temporary housing for people in Gaza affected by Operation Protective Edge has not come through. So what are people doing at the moment? How are they dealing with their basic needs?
I mean, it's really kind of a bare-knuckle life here in Gaza for many. I'm in central Gaza City right now, which is slightly more affluent, but in the border areas that were hit the hardest, in neighborhoods like Shujaiya and Beit Hanun, Hosea, these neighborhoods were largely leveled by Israeli shelling. And the survivors are basically living in the rubble. Some homes are still half standing, and there are families living in there. And as summer approaches, it's going to be a very devastating time and difficult to sweat it out in the rubble.
And yet, despite criticism of the world, the United States is providing $1.8 billion in a deal to Israel, while no one, absolutely no one, seems to care about what's happening to the people on the ground. What do you make of this?
Yeah, this massive arms deal comes as Israel's most right-wing government in history has just been elected, and this is a really disturbing precedent, as the weapons that President Obama has just given Israel were used specifically to target civilians last summer. The bunker busters, which Israel just received 750 of, which were designed for Iraq to take out underground facilities, were used last summer to destroy residential and commercial towers that have no military value, very similar to the tower that I'm in right now. Last summer, on the final night of the ceasefire, after the terms of the ceasefire had been agreed to, is when Israel decided to start taking out landmark towers in Gaza with the bunker busters, just like American-provided bunker busters like they have just received once again. So everyone in Gaza, everyone in Israel knows it's just a matter of time until we see it happen again. And it's a disturbing thought to think that the tower I'm in is a potential target and could be a smoldering pile of rubble with hundreds of people homeless, just like last summer.
You were just making reference to the new government that has been sworn in as of May 14th. Are there any effort on their part to address the issues of Palestinians?
No, I would say that's a definite no. I mean, the new government, the new Israeli government, is the most right-wing in history, and Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition consists of hard right-wing figures like Ayelet Shaked, who last summer during Operation Protective Edge made a Facebook post calling for genocide of Palestinians, in which she said Palestinian mothers should be killed in order to prevent them from birthing little snakes. You have Naftali Bennett, who has been appointed to he's the education minister, and he was quoted as saying, "I've killed lots of Arabs, and there's nothing wrong with that." So it's these sort of extremist figures that have taken control of the Israeli government, and it's a frightening prospect of what kind of violence that will bring on Gaza as well as the West Bank and for Palestinians inside Israel. So the prospects for peace or justice are really nil as long as Israel continues on this trajectory.
That's Dan Cohen with Mondoweiss in Gaza City. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us on the Real News Network.